Hello class and welcome to Miss Smith's very first flipped classroom lecture. As you all know, the semester has just started and I decided the best way to get things rolling on a high note would be to rely on the wonderful resource that is laughter. What I have in store for you is a unit in which we really go in depth with a piece of literature that fits into the genre of comedy and humor. I think being able to laugh is absolutely wonderful, and the more that you can laugh in the classroom, the more that you can smile, the more you can have fun and thoroughly enjoy what you're doing, the more relationships you'll make with the curriculum, the more connections that you'll make, the easier it'll be for you to remember because you can think back on what you learned with a positive connotation. Now, despite laughter being something that is incredibly wonderful and an absolutely fantastic resource, we need to take a step back and realize what is acceptable laughter and what is unacceptable laughter. Now, some of you may point your fingers at me, you may laugh because, in case you can't tell, I am in fact a blonde, and the stereotype is that blondes are ditzy, that we are dumb, that we are stupid, that we are unintelligent, and I do not care if you're poking fun at my hair color because my hair color is not part of who I am. It does not determine my identity. It's not something that I feel a strong connection with. You could even come in and make fun of the shoes that I'm wearing because again, I do not define myself by the clothes that I wear or whatever I decide to cover up my feet with for the day. However, there are touchy subjects, there are controversial areas in which students feel that it's okay to laugh. They think that it's okay to point their fingers and laugh at somebody who is obese. That would not be acceptable because sometimes the student can't help themselves. Sometimes their weight is a genetic problem. Sometimes you can't tell just how much effort they're putting forth to try and lose that weight and to become healthy. And to laugh at their weight would be to diminish their self-esteem, to diminish their self-confidence, to say that they're not trying to get better. You can come to school and laugh at somebody for being African American, laugh at somebody for whatever their sexuality would be, and that would be unacceptable humor. That is unacceptable laughter because their sexuality, their skin color, their ethnicity, that is something that defines who they are. A person is going to feel a strong connection with their African American heritage. They're going to define themselves through that shared background. Somebody who is a homosexual and proud of it, they're going to define themselves through that sexuality. They are proud of being gay. It's something they have come out. It's something they're willing to admit to the world. And it's not something we should poke fun at because the same mindset could be applied to somebody who comes from a poor background. It's something that they're really sensitive about. It's something that they don't really like to talk about. It could be even something that they're ashamed of. And to make fun of somebody is not defined by how much money they make. Somebody is not valued by how much money they make. And there is no need to poke fun and say, oh, haha, you make less money than I do, because in the end, money doesn't matter. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't make our life worthwhile and fulfilling. So another example, which I think is the worst example of negative humor, would have to be the idea of self-deprecating humor. I grew up being bullied most of my life. Kids would come in, they would call me horrible things, they'd call me fat, they would make fun of what I was wearing, they would make fun of my background, make fun of how much money I had, and they turned it into a game to see who could make me cry the hardest, to see who could come up with the best insults. And so I grew up thinking that my life had no value, that there wasn't anything exciting about Miss Smith, or that people were going to see me through a negative lens, through the negative connotation. So growing up, I would make lots of mistakes, and I thought the best way to deal with that would be to laugh at it. Be, oh, haha, look there, I made an F. I guess it doesn't really matter. Or, haha, look there, I failed another exam, or I failed another class, or this piece of bread that I'm baking didn't turn out as well as I would have liked. And instead of picking up on those positive things, areas where I was succeeding, I got so focused on those negative things. And a lot of times you'll see students who are dealing with self-confidence issues. You'll see students who are dealing with self-esteem issues, who is coming from a really rough background, a really rough family life. They've learned to devalue themselves, to point out all the negative things about themselves, and they think that laughing about it will help, but that adds a sense of levity to the situation. It adds a sense of lightheartedness to something that should be taken seriously. So when it comes to laughter, you can laugh at each other's hair colors. That's okay. It doesn't define who you are. If you're comfortable with somebody, sure, go ahead and laugh at what they're wearing, so long as they know you're not being serious, because there are people who are going to take it seriously, who are going to get offended if you point out that what they're wearing is not the hippest fashion. Go ahead and poke fun because it looks like they didn't get any sleep and they've got the funny looking purple puffs underneath their eyes. That's okay. You can laugh about that. You can make jokes with each other. You can enjoy each other's companies. You can have inside jokes. But make sure what you're laughing at, what you're making fun of, is not going to insult somebody. It's not going to diminish their self-value. It's not going to diminish their worth, and they're not going to think that you're picking up on those insecurities and making fun of who they are as a person, making fun of what they identify with. Now, the reason I wanted you all to have this background on what's acceptable humor and what's not acceptable humor is because starting tomorrow, you all are going to come to class and we're going to do an in-depth character analysis in which we pick up traits that everybody does, whether it's being dishonest or being lazy or being a perpetual procrastinator, and we're going to develop a character who fits into each of these different faults, each of these different traits, so we can see that something you think is really horrible, something that you're not proud of, is a trait that chances are is shared with 99.9% of the class. It's important to know that not everybody is perfect and that we all have these shared flaws, we all have these shared traits that is okay to laugh at. Now, if you have any questions, you all know that you can shoot me an email at ljsmith, that's SMITH 6 at ncsu.edu, and I look forward to seeing what kind of faulty characters we come up with in class tomorrow.